So Grady, tell me, if you became sick or disabled and you're unable to work, what does that look like for you and your family? And if they're not giving you details, keep pushing on that, because I want them to say, you know what? My family may have to move out of this house. They may have to go live with their family. So on the worst end, God forbid you passed away tomorrow. What's that look like? What happens to your family? How long before your family has to move? How long before? And then just let them kind of fill in. And I keep pushing, right? Because this is where, in my mind, they're having to sell me as to why I'm going to help them.
Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency.
Beyond excited, Gus Elrod with us. So let's jump into the meat and potatoes. The words.
All right.
Here's what we're going to do, guys. Gus is going to run through. I usually don't role play it just because I kind of botch it and make it turn into a comedy show, which I don't want it to be. I'm still a child inside, but and outside. See my Mexican skin? No, I'm joking. But so I'd love for you to dig into your script, specifically what he says to get the clients from leads to clients, and how he makes them comfortable, and what he says, how he takes control, etc. So I'm going to pass it over to you, brother. I'm stoked for this.
Yeah. So I'll start off by saying this. So you all understand, when you have a lower budget, you're going to buy more age leads, right? Because you get more. But you need to start that rhythm so that you can build up that resiliency to accept the objections and to build up the behavior muscle to be able to dial and call and have that structure and to practice your initial pitch. You have to go through that part, because that develops the strength for you then to, okay, now I understand how to ask the questions. We all go through that stage. Who doesn't want it easy, right? But even when I'm getting these IUL leads, they're not lay down sales. They're telling me, I never did that. Listen, I'm not a telemarketer. I'm not a sales guy calling. You actually fill out this form. Your name is this. Your date of birth is this. Your age is this. It's like, I still have to validate and acknowledge and move forward. So the point is, the only way that I've learned to do that is I dialed the aged 1-year-old final expense leads and made $2,000 in a day and got called every name in the book and wanted to quit over and over and over. But you have to go through that so that as you get more confident understanding the product, understand how to talk to people, then I realize this is just a conversation. And I'm not going to beat it up. If somebody is rude and curses me out, listen, I'm a rebuttal, acknowledge, try and get them back in it, but I'm not going to keep fighting them. I want to keep my sanity. Okay, well, you know what? Here's my card. Here's my contact number. If you remember and you ever want to look into it, I'm here to help you. You have a good day. Good luck. Disposition, move on, right? So just weather that storm. Don't give up. Keep going. But the word tracks I'm going to share with you right now, you can adjust those slightly to whatever type of lead you're calling, okay? The heart of this is all the same. So I'll start from the beginning, from the top with you, Grady, and then we'll kind of roll through, okay? So, hi, Grady. This is Gustin calling. Hey, I was calling you because you requested information on an IUL. That's a type of life insurance that you could build a tax-free retirement and also, borrow from. And also can protect your family in case you die or if you get sick. You saw a post on social media and you filled out a form requesting more information. Can you tell me, what was it about the IUL that really interests you? And whatever they come back with, I'm going to key in on that, right? So if it's like, I wanted money for my business or tax-free retirement or protect my family, whatever it is, I key in on that. And that's where I'm going to lead from. And then just to kind of take control, I'll say, so, okay, well, real quick, let me verify the information that you submitted just to make sure we're on the same page. So I verify whatever I have on them, date of birth, their age, email address, because what I'm trying to do is I want to get them in saying yes, 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 right? We're now in a positive mode. And as I get to that, I say, okay. And so I see you are, like with these IULs, it's telling me what they are. Truck driver, contractor. All right, so I see that you're a contractor. Tell me about your business. I see your business name is such and such. How long have you been doing that? Getting some history, understanding what they're doing, right? All right, how long have you been doing that? All right, perfect, great. Understanding kind of what they want to leverage this for. Okay. Now, tell me specifically, what did you want the IUL to do for you? Tell me what it is, right? All right, perfect. Well, before we kind of get things kicked off, Grady, why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself? You have a family that depends on you. Now they're opening up about their family. They're married. You have kids. Great. How many kids you have? How old are they? Okay. How long have you been married? Because I'm just trying to now, let's be a real person, but I want to understand like who depends on them, right? Okay, perfect. They give me their history. All right. Well, so the call's pretty basic. I'm going to ask you a few questions just to get an understanding of like where you currently stand to help me kind of structure what this will look like for you. Is that okay? They'll give me what a response. Then I start keying in it. And so, Grady, tell me, if you became sick or disabled and you're unable to work, what does that look like for you and your family? And sometimes they'll say, not good. Okay. Not good. Okay. Well, what does that look like to you? Explain. And if they're not giving you details, keep pushing on that because I want them to say, you know what? My family may have to move out of this house. They may have to go live with their family. They may have to, I don't know. I have no idea. My wife would have to work because I'm the sole provider. We don't have savings, or if I have savings, they can survive for a little while. Okay, perfect. How long? How long before their lifestyle has to change? Because I want them to really understand I have 3 months of savings left. And then what? Then I don't know. Okay, I got it. Now I see why you're looking at this. Okay. So on the worst end, God forbid you passed away tomorrow. What's that look like? What happens to your family? How long before your family has to move? How long before, and then just let them kind of fill it. And I keep pushing, right? Because this is where, in my mind, they're having to sell me as to why I'm going to help them, right? If I'm just glancing over this part and I start talking about the IUL benefits and so on, and then talking about budget, why are they going to do it? So as I'm keying in on this, I want to hear their pain. Okay, I got it. Now that makes sense. Okay, I understand why you reached out, and I'm here to help you. Okay. Now, you've been in business for X number of years. How long have you been working overall? 27 years. Perfect. Okay, great. So in those 27 years, can you tell me how much have you actually saved for retirement? Whatever the response. Oh, nothing, a little something. Okay, got it. Okay. Well, so tell me, if you continue doing what you've been doing, like what's that look like for your retirement? Are you going to work until you're 75 or what's that look like? And whatever the response is, sometimes they will, most of the time, I'm going to work until I can't work anymore. Sure, I get that. We are going to do it. As long as you love what you're doing, perfect, keep doing it. But there may come a point, you maybe physically can't do it, right? So based on where you're currently at, you're kind of behind. Wouldn't you agree? So we need to do something differently, right? Perfect. Well, I got you. Just so you know, I'm here to help you. My target goal is to help you achieve your goals. Okay. So we're going to build up some type of retirement for you. It's tax-free. And then also to help you leverage some money to help your business. Okay. And then I'm feeding you from what they say to me. Okay. So I kind of set the stage. So just so you know, the call is really pretty basic, maybe another 10, 12 minutes. Just depends on, any questions you have or what that looks like. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the full details about how an IUL works. Okay. And then I'm going to ask you some questions to help me determine how I can structure it for you. And then towards the end of the call, if we have some time, I'm actually going to review some real numbers with you to illustrate how this would look like in your situation. Okay. Well, Grady, first, let me tell you a little bit about myself before we kind of get things kicked off. Okay. Now, I am what's known as an independent broker. Okay. And, I'm contracted with over 30 different A+ rated insurance carriers. All right. What that means essentially is I don't work for any one company, but I have access to all of them. Okay. What I do is I try and shop around the various options available to you. And I do all the shopping, hit all the carriers, because what I'm looking for is to get the right match for you. The carrier that's going to offer you the most amount of coverage, the most benefits at the lowest rate to maximize your money to really help grow that cash value accumulation account. Okay. Now, I'm about to send you my digital business card. Okay. This is just so you can kind of see who you're doing business with. It's got a picture of an ugly mug on there, so don't hold that against me, but that's more so that you can kind of, put a face to the voice. Okay. Now, more importantly, on my card, it's got my credentials on there. Okay. Now, this is a regulated industry, and we do need to be licensed by law in order to operate. So on that card, you'll see my NPN, my national producer number. All right. And I just sent that to you in text. Now, that number that's on that card as well, that's my personal number. That's the same number I call my wife on, same number my kids text me on. That's my personal number. So save that. Okay. I want you to keep that because I'm your guy. So go on your phone afterwards and say, my insurance guy, and save it, Dustin. That's my number. Okay.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the training. Real quick, we came out with this insurance sales guide, and it's over 100 pages of product knowledge, scripts, referrals, how to get referrals, rebuttals, everything that you could want to get from where you are to truly top producer level. Link below, go ahead and grab it, and we'll send it out to you free.
So then I'll get back in. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is an investment grade life insurance policy. Okay. It's not just an investment. Now, the reason I point that out, because if it were just an investment, then the IRS could tax it. Okay. Now, with an IUL, if you're approved, you can get 3 main benefits. Okay. The first one is if you are approved, okay, and you pay that first payment, let's say, God forbid, you pass away the next day, well, your family is going to get a substantial death benefit. Okay. Tax free. So that'll protect your family. Right. So there's no replacing you when you pass away, but at least your last expression to your family is, I'm going to help you financially take care of you while I'm gone. Okay. The second thing, if you qualify, it comes with living benefits. So in the event, let's say you get hurt or sick, become disabled, unable to work, right? You can actually tap into that death benefit money, okay, while you're alive. Use that to pay anything you need, like medical bills, pay off your mortgage, whatever you like. Okay? But the third thing it does for you is it builds cash value accumulation. So each month you're making that premium payment, a part of that goes into a savings account called your cash value accumulation account. That account compounds and earns interest. The average rate is anywhere between 8 to 12%. Okay. So here's really how it works. Since this is a type of life insurance, right? You make a payment every single month, just like a car insurance, homeowners insurance, whatnot, right? However, the way it works is that a portion of that money is allocated to the cost of the insurance. So that's what gives you the death benefit and the living benefit. And that ultimately makes a life insurance policy, right? And because of that, that's what prevents the IRS from taxing you when you want to withdraw money. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Perfect. Okay. Now, Grady, do you know what a 401k is, or have you ever invested in one before, or like an IRA? All right. And they say yes, no, what have you. And I'll tell them, okay, well, as you know, like a 401k, that money is invested in the stock market, right? Or like a mutual fund portfolio. So when the stock market goes up, you make money, right? But what happens when the stock market goes down? You lose money, right? That's right. Now, with an IUL, it's not exactly that way. Okay. So you do participate if the stock market goes up and you get a really good interest rate. Okay. But when the stock market goes down, okay, you have a guarantee that you're not going to lose any money. All right. Now, with a typical retirement account like a 401k, okay, when the stock market drops, you lose not only the interest that you've earned, but you potentially lose the money that you contributed, your hard-earned dollars. You lose that as well, okay? But with an IUL, when the market drops, you may earn a lower interest rate, maybe even a 0% interest rate some years, right? However, you are guaranteed to never lose money if the stock market drops. So the whole purpose is what? Not losing money, right? The market's the same thing in both scenarios with the IUL and the 401k. The difference is with the IUL, you never lose money, okay? So that's how the money and the interest is applied. All right. The money will grow tax deferred. And when you want to withdraw it, you can withdraw it tax free. Now, Grady, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the financial health questions with you, just so I can determine if you can qualify a product like this. All right. It's really simple. The insurance carrier is going to qualify you by 2 methods. They qualify you by health and financially. So what does that mean? Well, when they qualify you by health, what they're simply going to do is look at your medical records, okay, your MIB report, not your Men in Black report, but your Medical Information Bureau report. So anytime you've seen a doctor, anytime you've been prescribed medication, that's logged in the database. They're just simply going to look at that, okay? Now, when they qualify you financially, doesn't mean they're going to do credit checks or anything like that. But they want to make sure you're a legitimate person, make sure there's no money laundering, no financial red flags, nothing like that. So you simply have to have a checking or savings account in your name tied to your information to make sure that they can verify you, okay? I don't need the information right now. I'm just letting you know later on when we try to get you covered and we apply, that's what the carrier is going to ask for, okay? It's important I set that stage because I don't want them later on saying, oh, I have a checking account. All right, like it's already in their face. This is what we'll need down the road. I don't need it now, but so you know, okay? And then when I transition over, okay, well, let's knock out the health and the financial questions really quick, okay? And I go through the date of birth, your smoker, height, weight, how tall are you? All right. And then on a good day, how much do you weigh? Like that's gold. The whole point is I got to get some chuckles while I'm doing this, right? So I insert the little things, about my picture, the MIB, like just get them, break the ice, make it feel a little more calm and relaxed, and they're engaged with you, right? So now let's transition over to your financial questions, okay? So Grady, on your typical month, what is your income? Okay, let them go through that. Perfect. And then how much do you save each month? Okay, and then after all your bills are said and done with, what do you have left with at the end of the month? Perfect. That's the budget we're working on. So if they're saving $500 a month already, perfect. Okay, you mentioned you're saving $500 a month. Where are you saving that? You put it in like your savings account at the bank, or you old school, you put it in their mattress at home? Like, where do you put that money? I want them to tell me, oh, no, I keep it safe at home. Okay, or I put in a savings account. Okay, gotcha. So what would you estimate your current balance is right now in the savings account or in your safe? Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, just give me a best guess. 25,000. Okay, perfect. Got it. All right. And are you currently contributing to any retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs? You purchase any stocks, bonds, anything at all? And if they do, okay, tell me more about that. One of your balances. What do you estimate the balance is today? And then I tell them if they have money, perfect. If I can show you a solution to help you never lose money over the rest of your life, and earn higher earnings, would you be open to learning more? Yes, perfect. Boop. That's an annuity call later on, right? And then I ask, do you currently own your home or do you rent? Okay, and if they own, perfect. What's your current mortgage balance? All right, and then I get the monthly payment. How, was it a 30-year? And how long you been in the home? What's the current value? So I have the assets. So I understand. The point of getting the mortgage is now I understand. Okay, here's the minimum that I want to cover for them. If they don't have any coverage, they have a $250,000 mortgage. I want to protect that, so the family always will have a home. Right? That's my starting spot. And now I pivot into their budget. Is your budget 200 or less, or 300 or more per month?
300 or more. You're still, if you're here, that's a good line. That's a good line.
It kind of sets the stage, right? To where are you at, so I can understand kind of their level, right? And guys, just real quick, everything I've just shared with you, these are all pieces I've gathered from other top people and just kind of meshed them together. So acknowledgement to all you, the others that have come before me. Thank you for sharing. And then I get into kind of, let me really narrow it down to get a real number. Okay. So Ray, now I want to focus on the excess money that you can set aside each month. I'm going to help show you how we can maximize and grow it as much as possible. Okay. So I want you to think about your monthly budget. Okay. Now, on those months when everything seems to be going wrong, right? You have unexpected bills popping up, got to buy a new set of tires in the car, water heater goes out, you got to have these unexpected bills will pop up, okay? What would be the minimal amount that you would see yourself setting aside and either growing for your retirement, growing for your cash value accumulation you could borrow from and help your business, or protecting your family? It's one of those, right? I get their answer. Perfect. Okay. Now on the flip side, let's say it's a month, everything's going right. And if you really push yourself, knowing the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of this. How much would you be able to set aside and grow for, retirement, whatever? I get their response. Perfect. Okay. So let's dive into a little bit more, right? Can't predict the future, right? But I want to look at the last 12 months. So the last 12 months, how many months did you save the low? Whatever you come up with. Perfect. Let's say 12 out of 12. All right. How many months did you save the high? 3 out of 12. So if their low was 300, the high was 1,000, right? You'll get some crazy ranges. I'm going to go with what I know they've already done consistently. Why? Well, I can push them and make it sound great, but if they don't save that already, then they're potentially going to charge back, right? So what I do is, and I explain to them, perfect. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to show you is just how we can redirect your current strategy, right? So if you're already saving X dollars per month that you share with me, right? Putting that in your safe or on your mattress or savings account, whatever. What I'm going to do is help show you how to maximize that money. Now, if they tell me, yeah, I have it in my savings account or in my safe at home, like a guy this morning, I say, let me ask you, Grady, have you ever heard the concept about time value of money? Most people have not. Well, let me explain to you. So you have 25,000 in your safe, right? Good job. You're a saver, and I know you're like me. I have money at home too. I like to see it. I want to touch it, and when I need it, I can grab it, right? But here's the problem. Over time, cost of goods changes, right? On a good year, our government says when the inflation is 3%, ooh, we're doing good, right? during COVID, after COVID, we saw inflation rise 9 to 10%. What does that mean to us? Well, that means your dollar today is worth X percent later. So if our inflation is 3%, that means at the end of the year, that $1 is worth 3% less. So if your money's just sitting in your safe, you're losing money. So if you're already saving $300 per month, instead of losing value, we're just going to redirect it. Instead of your safe, we're going to put it in this and earning 8, 10, 12% or more. Does that make sense? Perfect. Why would they say no, right? Yeah, perfect. Okay. There's really two ways that people fund an IUL. Okay. One might be from the savings somebody has in their safe. You just load it into your IUL. Others might be from an old retirement account, 401k, IRA, something like that. Or maybe a bonus or your income tax, right? Just dump it in there. Others, it's still monthly payments like we just mentioned right now. Okay. Now, great. I know we went really quick. Okay. And I got about 12 minutes before my next appointment. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen with your phone. All right. I'm going to send you a text message where you can click on a link. And then once you click the link, you can see my screen. And we're going to go through some real numbers and illustrate how this would look like in your situation. Okay. And then I do the illustration. I use crank wheel. For those who don't know what that is, it's a handy tool. 100% using every one of my calls. You go on there and I just text them and it gives them a link and you can share your screen. And I go through the illustration. Now I'm starting on the low, guys. And as I'm illustrating, I show them the low and I just kind of roll. Here's the benefit. I talk about here's the death benefit. Here's the living benefit. And then here's your accumulation value at X year. Makes sense. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to submit a request for coverage to the insurance carrier just to see if you can qualify for coverage. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, there's no dark swims, nothing like that. The carrier is going to qualify you through your health by looking at your MIB report. Okay. And then they're going to qualify and verify your financial information. They don't charge you anything today to see if you qualify. All right. The decision process typically takes 3 to 5 business days. For some clients with exceptional health, we may find out as quickly as today. All right. And if you are approved, you actually get to pick the day you want your coverage to begin. Okay. So with that said, what we're going to do next is we're going to submit a request for coverage and see if we can qualify for this. And we'll go from there. Does that sound fair?
Sounds amazing.
Application.
Gus, I ask people, I go, hey, let's go through your script. And they'll go through it in like 4 minutes, some 7. No one has ever given me this level of detail. And what I would encourage all of you to do when watching on YouTube now, if you are, or whoever's watching live, is go through and watch this and pencil out what he says, that things, and add in and use them as you go through, because this works. Did it feel long because he went through the whole thing? Yes, but that's okay. Time builds trust. Marriages, relationships, business, etc. And when you get to the point where you're asking them, what do you have in savings? What do you have in your safe? You can't ask that in the first 90 seconds. But 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 minutes after you've been having a good dialogue, you've built rapport, you've told them who they are, they've seen your website, your business card, a picture of you, etc. You're illustrating the carriers you work with. You start asking these tougher questions. You go from a telemarketer to their broker. Gus makes sure they know he is their broker. And that's what, if I could take anything away from this call, was the deliberate, education, clarification, pushing on the why, pushing on the pain. What would happen? What would happen? Tell me what happened, Bob. If something happened, like, really, what would happen? Well, if you have to get a job, like, I make sure, like, Gus, fantastic.